Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about something that we used to do called the club meeting. Now, that sounds sort of like, some sort of weird sort of, cult or something like that. But no, it was basically our basic way to allow people to basically find out more about anime and watch some anime. So let me just sort of rewind a little bit and sort of put some background up to this. Back in the early days before Windows and before the proliferation of anime as we know it, it was very hard to find information about anime. Okay, because it wasn't on TV. You're not going to get lots of comic books or sort of media about it. Of course, there's no internet, so you can't really find out information about that. So how did you really know what kind of anime is out there? How could you kind of sort of get in touch with other people that sort of knew or know things about anime? And then of course the ultimate thing is that, well, how do you even watch any of this anime thing? So just like myself, I started by going to the local comic book store, because usually a comic book store or some sort of maybe a bookstore might have some comics, maybe some Japanese art books of some sort. You might have that kind of thing in a comic book store. So that's sort of one place that you sort of go to. Now, a lot of times, these people that work at comic book stores may not be really up on it. It's sort of one of these fringy things. So they said, at this time, there, superheroes either from Marvel Comics or DC Comics was your, dominant thing. So that's what you basically go into a comic book store for. And so all the staff and that kind of stuff would really know a lot about that kind of stuff. But of course, there's this really fringy thing on the outside, called anime, some Japanese stuff, and, it's starting to hit the market, and they might know a little bit about it. So the concept is that it's really difficult for people who are interested in Japanese animation, want to learn more about this kind of stuff, but there's nowhere to get the information from. I mean, obviously, if they go to a local comic book store, and the local comic book store doesn't really know the information, doesn't really know, much more than, there's something happening, or you maybe get in touch with this person or something like that. It's really kind of, unknown, kind of sketchy. You don't really know. Okay. So all of a sudden, the concept of, well, okay, why don't we, put together a club or something that meets in a public place like a community center, and then that will give opportunity for people to come in at a certain time, maybe like a Sunday or something out of every month, to then basically be able to meet and see some anime and get some more information about anime in general. Okay, so fortunately for me, I met with a person that worked at the comic book store named Carter Lamb. Okay, and him paired up with the one of the CFO chapter members from Victoria named Nicholas Condor from the CFO Victoria. They got together and they basically went to a place called Trout Lake Community Center, and they had our first sort of Japanese animation club meeting for Vancouver. Okay, and from then I got basically elected as the de facto president for the anime club, and from there I basically was able to bring lots of videos and that kind of stuff. Bring information like synopses and that stuff about the animes that we're going to show. But most importantly, I was able to bring in some collectible things like magazines and art books, and maybe even the odd things like model kits and that kind of stuff, so that people, when they come to the meetings, they can then see some stuff and read about information, get some more information about this thing called Japanese animation. See, basically build up their anticipation. And that's probably something that we don't have in our modern day sort of anime viewing, because I mean, obviously, when we want to know some information about what's new in anime, you just basically go to Google, you type in anime, what's new, 2019 or something like that, and then a whole bunch of titles and that kind of stuff kind of come up, and basically you're kind of overwhelmed with the information. And the only way to solve that is, of course, if you have questions or you need suggestions, you just keep typing in more words into Google, and it becomes like a research project almost, right? Is this good? I have to check up all the reviews on this, and then you go to another anime, and then, okay, here's another list of titles, or you go to this other guy who goes, yeah, these are my top tens for 2018 or something. Then you sort of like, okay, now I gotta type in each of these names and see what they're all about and see if I like them and check out other people's reviews and all this other stuff. And it just seems to be a big process. Now, wouldn't it be easier if you just kind of go to someplace or ask somebody, hey, what are your favorite animes? Or if you've got a friend that has similar tastes to yours, then you go, okay, well, what do you like? Or what have you seen recently? And then, then I'll check those out, because if you like them, then maybe I'll like them too, right? But that sort of interaction sort of doesn't really happen anymore. And that's sort of one of those missing sort of social interactions with anime that we no longer do. Okay? The other nice thing is that that's sort of missing or gone from this, this meetings, is that, everyone has this, convenience, okay, shall we say, of going, well, whatever anime I want to watch, I'll just, download it, or I'll just stream it online, and there we go, right? There's no need for me to leave my house to go to a place to watch anime and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's the same way how we view newspapers and other popular media, like magazines, for example, is that we focus on a particular article. So, for example, we hear a news item or something like, giant forest fire in California, okay? We only look up that one article, and we only read that one article, and then the rest of the, shall we say, newspaper that, covers it, for example, let's say the Washington Post or something like that, New York Times, we ignore the rest of the articles and the things that are in that magazine or in that newspaper, and we only just concentrate on the one article, right? And we do that now with anime too. It's like, I'm only interested in Dragon Ball. I don't care about any other anime that's out there. I'm just going to watch Dragon Ball, and that's it. And you just sort of tunnel yourself to just watching this type of thing. And what will end up happening is that there might be something really, obscure, really funny, really interesting, that would capture your interest, but you would never ever see it, and you'd never ever know about it, because no one would tell you about it, or you would not see something, or you would bypass it over, because unless it's sort of sitting on the side. And of course, a lot of us ignore all the advertising and the banners and that kind of stuff that pop up in our websites nowadays. You would just miss it. You would just, you'd say, oh yeah, whatever, that's junk, and I don't care. That looks stupid. I'm not going to watch it. Blah blah blah. Right? And that's usually what will happen. So this sort of meeting allows you to be exposed to a lot of different animes and that kind of stuff that you would probably never ever watch. But because you've been there and you looked at something, and then you catch a glimpse of it, or maybe there's a magazine that's sitting on the table and saying, hey, that looks pretty cool. What the heck is that? Then you can try out some different animes and that kind of stuff. And again, I think that's another thing that's missing in the modern day era of how we view anime and that kind of stuff, which we used to do back in the times of the meetings. Okay, so that's what what we did for the meetings. And again, when we initially started with the Vancouver Japanese Animation Club, we started at what we refer to as the Trout Lake Community Center. And then as time went on, we needed a larger venue. We had a more comfortable venue, especially around the time of the Vancouver Olympics at 2010. We went over to the facilities at Douglas College, which is really nice, because in a college auditorium sort of thing, they have all the AV equipment and that kind of stuff, big screen and all that kind of stuff, nice comfortable seats, theater-like seats. And that kind of stuff. So it worked out really, really well. Okay, so I'm going to get into more stories about Trout Lake and more about Douglas College in a separate episode, because I want to concentrate each one and tell you all the different sort of things that happened during those. So I'll leave that in a future episode. Okay, so what you want to do right now is you want to go and click like and click subscribe. and that way you get notifications of when those episodes will come out. All right. So until next time, see you again.